Hi, welcome to Pearls, Procedural Education for Adaptation to Resource-Limited Settings, part of the Sugar curriculum. These modules are available online or on your phone and intended to help you prepare for work in resource-limited settings. We're all quite comfortable when we have the medical supplies we're used to, but take those away in resource-limited settings and things can get challenging. That's what this series is about. In this video, we will learn how to make a device which can be used to drain fluid from a chest tube or other body cavity. This instructional video is part of a series of videos on the topic available at sugarprep.org. The videos on this topic include a demonstration video where Dr. Slusher shows how to make a working chest simulator for practicing these techniques, a link to an instructional video from the New England Journal of Medicine on how to place a chest tube, and finally, a live demonstration video where Dr. Slusher and Desai build a working version of the device you'll see shortly. The draining device we'll learn to make today has several indications for use after a chest tube placement. These include evacuation of fluid or blood, pus, or air in the context of preventing the reaccumulation of a pneumothorax. We will review 3 different versions of this device, including a 3-bottle system, 2-bottle system, and 1-bottle system, and discuss the reasons you may choose one over the other. The supplies you'll need to make this device include 1 to 3 bottles with lids, suction tubing, some sort of rigid tubing or straws such as a manometer, tape or glue, something to make holes in the lids such as a drill or a hammer and nails, scissors, and water. We'll start by discussing the 3-bottle system. This is the system you would choose if you had access to continuous or intermittent suctioning and allows you to keep the fluid draining from the chest separate from the other fluids. You'll need 2 short pieces to connect the containers to each other and 2 longer pieces, one which will connect from a container to the patient and one from a container to suction. Note, if manometer tubing or hard straws are not available, the tubes you just cut will need to be longer, which we'll go over soon. If manometer tubing or hard straws are available, however, these tubes will also need to be cut to various lengths. We'll discuss this shortly. Now let's go over the setup of the 3-bottle system. The first step is to drill holes in the tops of these containers. In container 1, you'll need to put 2 holes in the lid, the same thing for container 2, and in container 3, you'll put 3 holes. In order to assure a tight seal, these holes should be approximately the same diameter as the tubing or straws you'll be placing in the containers. Next, you'll take a ruler and marker and mark off 5 centimeter increments from the bottom of each container. Next, you'll fill some of these containers with water. Container 1 will be your collection reservoir, so there is no need to put water in this container. Container 2 will provide a water seal and requires 5 to 10 centimeters of water. And container 3, which will be attached to the suction, requires approximately 20 centimeters of water. Next, you'll begin inserting your tubing into each of the containers. Container 1 requires 2 short pieces of tubing. Container 2 should have 1 long tube, which is just submerged under the water, and 1 short tube, which remains above the water. And container 3 requires 1 long tube, which is also submerged, and 2 short tubes, which should stay above the water. You'll now begin to connect the containers with the tubing you cut earlier. Connect the short tube of bottle 1 with the long tube of bottle 2, and the short tube of bottle 2 with one of the short tubes of bottle 3. As we discussed earlier, if you did not have access to the hard tubing, the connections themselves could be made with continuous tubes. For example, this entire connection here could be one long piece of tubing. The advantage to using the straw or manometer setup is the tubes inside the container are likely to stay upright. However, if you don't have access to this type of straw or manometer tubing, the longer tube method works as well. To use this device, you'll connect the open straw from container 1 to the chest tube of your patient. Again, if you don't have access to the hard straws, this could be one continuous tube from the patient. In container 3, you'll leave the long tube open to the air and connect the remaining short tube to the suction. Finally, you'll want to create tight seals at all connections, including where the tubing enters from the lids. You can do this with either tape or superglue. When the suction is turned on, you should see aggressive bubbles coming from the long straw in container 3. This suction is transferred to container 2, which acts as the water seal. Here you should see some faint bubbles. If there is fluid to be drained from your patient, the suction will be transferred to container 1 and you should begin to see accumulation of fluid. Because this fluid is not mixing with any water, it can be sent for laboratory analysis. If you don't have a need to keep the fluid separate, you can use a 2 or a 1 bottle system. The 2 bottle system can be used with or without suction. First, we'll review how to do it with suction. The setup with suction uses bottles 2 and 3 from the 2 bottle system. These become the new bottles 1 and 2. You'll note that when connected to suction, bottle 1 now acts as both a water seal and a collection reservoir, meaning the fluid will mix with the existing water and cannot be sent for laboratory analysis. If no suction is available, you can still harness some of the power of this tool by using a 1 or a 2 bottle system. The 2 bottle system without suction uses the first 2 bottles described earlier in the 3 bottle setup. In this setup, the short straw from container 2 remains open to air. The long straw is connected to one of the short straws of container 1, and the other short straw is connected to the patient via the chest tube. If there is a good seal, you should see occasional bubbling in container 2. This setup again allows the drainage from the patient to remain separate. In the 1 bottle system, you'll need to start with 5 to 10 centimeters of water in container 1, in which the long straw, which is connected to the patient, is submerged. The short straw remains open to air. This setup again uses a water seal and should allow for some drainage from the chest. Note, however, this drainage will mix with the water, making laboratory analysis more difficult. This setup can be useful, however, in helping prevent a tension pneumothorax. Be sure to watch the full demonstration video of these skills, as well as the other videos discussed about chest tubes, at sugarprep.org. There you'll also find links to other Sugar Pearls videos, as well as access to the remainder of the Sugar curriculum.